Good afternoon, everyone. I am Fazlur Rahman. I'm the Chief Strategy and Regulatory Officer in TNB. My job is to develop the strategies for the group, as well as manage the regulatory compliance and interfaces with our stakeholders, particularly our Ministry of Energy and also our regulator, Energy Commission. Firstly, I'd like to thank the organizers, the Business Council for Sustainable Development Malaysia, and the British High Commission of Malaysia as a conference co-organizers for inviting me to this event titled Future-Proofing Your Energy Strategy. This is part of the IGEM conference. I'm delighted to be here to be able to share my topic today as TNB considers energy transition for a better, brighter Malaysia. Now, let me go into a few things first, talking about the context, then I'll cover a little bit about what are the areas that we believe we should focus on. And thirdly, I'd like to cover what are the things that TNB is doing for this energy transition and also for the country. Let's start with where we are today. Now, with any energy discussion, there's always the question of balancing the energy trilemma, which is balancing the need for energy security, environmental sustainability, and social equity. The latter being more focused on affordability and access to energy. This has always been a delicate balance to achieve, but we see that going forward, this will be less so as technology in terms of environmental sustainability starts to become more affordable. Let's look at where we are today in Peninsular Malaysia. For the next decade, up to 2030, we are in a situation where the system has over generation capacity, more capacity than we need. The reserve margins for the next 10 years will range between 30 to 50%, which is significantly higher than the minimum requirement of about 28%. So what this means is that we don't need to build more additional conventional capacity over the next 10 years. This means that focus can be given to more renewables. Now, renewables are not considered dependable capacity because it's intermittent. However, the opportunity for renewables is that it is becoming increasingly affordable. As of the last large-scale solar program in LSS3, the cost for renewables or solar has now become cheaper than gas. Today, we are in this pandemic and a global economic crisis. With this crisis, thoughts are around recovering our global economy and national economy in order to become in a better shape post-COVID. So perhaps there's opportunity in crisis as we look at making choices of where we want to invest going forward to recover our respective global and national economies. And we believe that the opportunity here is to shift towards energy transition, towards more sustainable energy sources in order to reshape the nation's economy towards something that is more future-proof. The other benefit of doing so, as we see, if we were to take investments in the generation capacity, investments in RE generation versus conventional generation, we've seen will generate around 2.5 times to 3 times more jobs compared to the conventional. This is something that we believe will benefit the nation a lot more, and therefore builds a strong case for moving towards sustainable energy. Now, what will be the focus areas for Malaysia? We in TNB have done a lot of study in this particular area as part of our strategy, and we see 3 potential areas that Malaysia can focus on. Number 1 is on affordable decarbonization. Number 2 on energy efficiency. And number 3 on electrification of mobility. Firstly, let's talk about affordable decarbonization. Today, solar or RE generation capacity in Malaysia, total RE generation capacity is about 9%, comprising solar, mini hydro, biomass, biogas, and waste to energy. Large-scale hydros make up another 8%, so total about 17%. Solar makes up about 4% of total generation mix, still indicating a lot more potential going forward. Given the solar bid prices, as I mentioned earlier, the LSS3 bid prices have come down significantly from the first solar auction. The first solar auction was around 40 cents, and the large-scale solar number 3, the third auction, on average about 20 cents, so about 50% reduction in energy costs from solar. This makes solar very competitive compared to gas, which is currently running at the 23.7 cent per kilowatt hour based on the third quarter prices. So coupled with storage, solar becomes a lot more viable and a lot more interesting, because today solar is still intermittent. Yeah? It cannot completely replace dependable capacity like gas and coal, but with solar coupled with storage, this will become a viable option. And we see that storage technology, in our projections, in our foresights, we see that it's coming to parity with gas, solar, and storage in about within this decade. The other opportunity for decarbonization for Malaysia, we see that there's opportunity in hydro. Yeah? Hydro not only is used as a source of energy, but also other functions as well, including energy storage, but also other environmental and social functions such as flood mitigation, clean water supply, and irrigation for agriculture. In order to achieve this affordable decarbonization, also we believe that the grid needs to be modernized. And this will be something that needs to be taken in phases over a period of time over the next few years in order to manage the lumpy investments that's needed. So the grid will need to be invested to manage the intermittency of increased solar, in particular, solutions before storage becomes a lot more viable. Now, moving on to energy efficiency. Today, when we look at our energy use in the country, it is very peaky. So energy use is highest at the middle of the day because of the temperature and a lot of air conditioning use. And therefore, energy efficiency to reduce, number one, to reduce the overall consumption, and also to manage the balance between the energy use throughout the day becomes an important opportunity here. So as we reduce the overall peak in demand, we should be able to reduce the overall capacity needed for the system. Yeah. So today, energy consumption, we have a target of 8% electricity savings through energy efficiency by 2025. But we believe this can be done more when you start to include non-electricity energy use as well. Yeah? So there are a huge amount of opportunities there. And if we look at where the energy consumptions are happening, power sector makes up only about 20%, transportation about 40%, and industrial sector another 40% roughly. Yeah? And there are opportunities, we believe, for energy efficiency to happen in transportation and industrial sector. Now, I mentioned earlier about the transportation sector, and this brings me to my third point of where we should be focusing on, electrification of mobility. Yeah. So today, less than 2% of currently vehicles sold are electric vehicles. So what this indicates to us is that there's a huge opportunity for further penetration of electric vehicles for the country, in the country. And as I mentioned earlier, transportation makes up about 42% of the total energy use, yeah, but also contributes to about 24% of the emissions in the energy sector. So a lot of opportunities here to be able to convert some of this into more green-based solutions. And reducing emissions in order to reduce emissions, electric vehicles provide the best options in the sense that it is more efficient compared to the internal combustion engines. Internal combustion engines makes up about 40% efficiency in terms of energy input and outputs, whereas electric motors run about 90% efficiency. Today, of course, the main concern on electric vehicles is its cost, is whether it's affordable. So we believe globally that cost parity will be reached by the middle of this decade, and for Malaysia by the end of the decade. Therefore, pathway needs to be set for that to happen by 2030. So the two options going forward: either we become a technology adopter, meaning that we buy electric vehicles as they reach cost parity, and increase the penetration in the local market, or we look at opportunities of localizing or creating electric vehicle manufacturing opportunities in the country to create job opportunities, GDP impact, and also bring in skills into the country. Now, where does TNB stand in all this? And I think, firstly, TNB is very bullish in terms of the energy landscape shaping in the future. We believe strongly in moving towards the more sustainable energy solutions in Malaysia and internationally. And we will continue to want to play a big role in doing this. For our business, of course, our business will be along the three pillars of our business, which is generation, the grid, and also the customer. So we are already putting plans in place to be ready for the future of the energy landscape. In generation, we aim to increase focus more on renewable energy in Malaysia and internationally. In Malaysia, we'll be focused on large-scale solar bids and other opportunities as they come by. Overall, we plan to increase our RE capacity to 1.7 gigawatts locally and internationally by 2025. We also will increase our stake in our RE assets in the UK. We have recently commissioned our 2,000 megawatts coal plant in Jimat East Power, and our position this will be our final greenfield coal plant. We also will be launching other energy transition solutions to allow customers to subscribe to green energy from the grid, and also create marketplace for renewable energy certificates so that generators can sell these green certificates for energy to consumers. In addition to that, we are also pushing forward on rooftop solar through the net energy metering program, and we have about 56 megawatts of rooftop solar in our pipeline. For the grid of the future, or the grid itself, today and as we look ahead, we will continue to invest approximately 7 to 9 billion ringgit per annum in capex to modernize our grid. Not just modernization, but also to meet the supply requirements, the demand requirements, and also to reinforce the system and reliability. And under this initiative, as we continue to gradually invest in the future, it allows our system to cope with greater renewables and decentralization of energy. In addition to this, we will also be pushing forward with the smart meter initiative, the rollout of smart meters across our 9+ million customers. By end of the year, we will expect to reach about 800,000 customers of smart meters installed, and we'll continue to do the rollout in the coming years over the next regulatory periods and beyond. The thing about the grid investments is that a lot of our grid investments involves a local ecosystem. We have about 4,500 local vendors. And this is something which we believe, as we continue to invest, and we continue to invest in new technologies in the grid, we are also indirectly spurring the local economy, creating new businesses, new job opportunities, as well as the knock-on GDP impact towards the country. And all of this is moving towards future technologies in line with the energy transition. And this means that new skill sets, higher level skill sets is required for the country. And that's something that is positive, I believe. On the customer side, our main focus here on the customer is getting ready for competition and liberalization. Across our customer experience, we are digitalizing our service delivery and solutions. We're coming up with new products and services to offer beyond just the electricity, beyond just the meter or beyond just the kilowatt hour. Solutions such as the rooftop solar solutions, home energy management solutions, charging infrastructure for electric vehicles, and also some digital solutions as we roll out our national fiberization initiative, in line or in conjunction with the government through its Jendela program. So these are some of the big areas of focus across our business as we reshape our strategy or reimagine TNB towards a sustainable energy landscape. To us, and to summarize for me, I think there are significant 6 game changers I believe is relevant as we shape our energy landscape and also reshape the country's economy. Just to summarize, earlier we talked about decarbonization, and there's opportunity to build the solar manufacturing hub in Malaysia. Malaysia is now the 3rd largest manufacturer of solar PVs outside of China. There's opportunity for us to take this further, we believe. As we modernize the grid, we will continue to allow an inclusive participation of our ecosystem to participate in these investments that we're making, not just in traditional technologies, but also increasingly more into new technologies for the future. Energy efficiency, I've already spoken about this. A lot more opportunities in managing demand requirements across the peaky consumption throughout the day and also overall consumption. And if we expand it further to non-electricity use, we're also actually creating new opportunities for retrofits, installers, and equipment suppliers. The electrification of mobility, also a big opportunity. Today, only less than 2% of sales of vehicles are electric vehicles, and quite clearly there are opportunities here that will also catalyze activities and opportunities around the value chain. Digital goes without saying. We are moving towards a digital economy and opportunities to reshape our service delivery, the infrastructure from a fiber access to those underserved is something that we believe will also help the economy. And last but not least, the 6th game changer for us is actually reskilling the workforce. For us, it is an important area of concern for Tenaga Nasional. We being a GLC and have a national nation building objectives, we are concerned about the readiness of our employees moving towards a new industry, new fourth industrial revolution, and also energy transition solutions. So we're making a lot of efforts to reskill our people through our training centers in ILSAS and many and also which is for training for not just our employees but also our vendors. And also we are opening this up for Malaysians as well, as the need for electrification increases in the coming years. Now, I think just to wrap up, this energy transition will require a significant amount of alignment across all parties, stakeholders, and the general public. And energy literacy becomes a very crucial driving force in this transformation, if you like. And what's important is that we start to create the conversations. We need to work together with industry players, government agencies, academia, civil society, NGOs, etc., to start thinking post-COVID, what are the big decisions that the country has to make and transition to a more future-proof economy. And TNB, we would like to play an active role in all this. With that, thank you very much for your attention.